Taking over for here. My name is Sorin Ioniță and I'm international expert with the Council of Europe. I have the pleasure to be your host, so to speak, today, hopefully for a very fruitful discussion. Another thing you need to know is that we are live on YouTube, so our meeting today is recorded in a way and will be there, so you should be aware of that. Alice told you before how to select your language, so I suppose this is sorted out. Another small thing will be that those participants who registered but put their name in script other than Latin, if they are kindly requested to switch off and on again and put their name in Latin script if possible, because that would make it easier for us to see their name and call them to take the floor. And another thing that you have on the right, you see the buttons on the right. In the middle, there's one which is called Documents. You click on it and you see files with the agenda we have today. So this is a final version of the agenda. You can download the PDF file and they are available in 4 languages, as you see. So download them in the language of your choice. And now, having said that, I think we can proceed, and we have the first interventions. So we have, for the beginning, Mr. Rafael Benitez, who is Director of Congress of Local and Regional Authorities of the Council of Europe. So please, Mr. Director, take the floor.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you all. Dear mayors, dear local councillors, dear chairs and representatives of national associations, dear representatives of OGP, national secretariats, dear colleagues from OGP, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to welcome you on behalf of the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities of the Council of Europe to this regional roundtable on open government and renewal with the theme, Local Governments Take Action. I am glad to see you in such great number. This speaks of the growing interest on open government and the commitment of both central and local authorities to these issues and to promote a new culture of governance closer to citizens. It is also proof that we share the same values and priorities, and we are pleased to organize this event together with the colleagues from the Open Government Partnership, an organization of reformers working together with national and local authorities around the world to transform the way in which governments serve citizens. I am therefore very happy to open this event together with Rudy Bormann, the OGP Deputy Director, who will present prospects on open government following the last OGP summit in December. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a growing demand for transparency and accountability. This is what citizens want, and this is what they expect from public authorities, and we cannot ignore it. Some core principles of the European Charter of Local Self-Government channel this demand: the right to participate in the affairs of local authorities and the key rights of communities to enjoy autonomy and self-government and elect local bodies that have their own structure and financial resources. Open government embodies the principles of transparency, integrity, accountability, and participation, and in this way support democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, and lead ultimately to inclusive development and growth. We in the Congress encourage all processes that foster an effective dialogue between central government and local authorities. And that is because dialogue is the backbone of a functioning democratic system. And it is so precisely because local authorities are the first level for the effective development of democracy, the level, as we know, closest to citizens. Consultations with local authorities through their national associations is a legal requirement under the European Charter of Local Self-Government, but it is also a very practical tool. After all, it is about building together the democratic system and responding together to the needs of the local communities with and for the citizens. Citizens' involvement in decision-making, which is a key element of good governance, is dear to us. It is part of the preamble of the European Charter and has been developed by the additional protocol on the right to participate in the affairs of local authorities. Later this year, we will mark the 10th anniversary of the entry into force of this protocol. I'm pleased to note that Armenia, Georgia, and Ukraine are among the parties to the protocol. I would like to use this opportunity to call to the authorities of the Republic of Moldova to become a party to the protocol, for citizens' participation is a token of the quality of democracy. In the context of reforms, the quality of democracy increasingly becomes a decisive factor for gaining citizens' trust in public authorities. Here, open government strategies and initiatives emerge as an opportunity to streamline dialogue between all levels of governance and with citizens. This allows improving local governance and ensuring that all levels of government are equipped with the necessary tools to enhance responsiveness and promote innovation. Equally important, co-creation and inclusive decision-making fostered through open government provide a sense of belonging, of being part of a common mission, of the same community, contributing to a better response to global challenges. Undoubtedly contributes to promoting and protecting human rights at local level by providing an environment in which all citizens can enjoy their rights and freedoms. The European Urban Charter, adopted in 1992 by the Congress, then called Standing Conference, presents an overview of these rights in the urban setting, from security to health, from services to equality. 30 years later, we find it very relevant, particularly against the backdrop of the current sanitary crisis, as it also embodies the essence of open government. Ladies and gentlemen, open government is key for the Congress, and it is key for the implementation of its strategic priorities, whether seeking effective responses to the public health crisis, enhancing the quality of democracy, or supporting digitalization at local and regional level through reliable and controlled technologies which meet human rights standards and take into account the need for democratic security and the protection of the individual. Open government has become an essential condition for participatory, inclusive, and open decision-making at all levels. It is also a valuable instrument for the promotion of human rights at local level, for improving service delivery, for increasing citizens' trust, and for preventing corruption, sadly still one of the major threats to democracy at all levels of government. Striving for open local government entails reviewing ways of governance, enhancing decision-making process, and renewing the relations between authorities and their constituencies. Open government allows a more holistic and integrated approach and ultimately strengthens the implementation by all levels of governance of the UN Sustainable Development Goals of the 2030 Agenda. Today, we will listen to good practices of multi-level dialogue on open government and co-creation. The Congress has supported some of these initiatives taken in Armenia, Georgia, the Republic of Moldova, and Ukraine as part of the Council of Europe and action plans. And we are very proud of it and the results achieved thanks to your personal commitment. We look forward to more municipalities and civil society partners joining the OGP local program to become so-called OGP locals. We also look forward to greater involvement of local authorities in the design, implementation, and evaluation of national open government commitments. Make no mistake, this is the only way to ensure effective processes for co-creation, for the renewal of democracy, and to increase our citizens' trust in public authorities. Let us work for it. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to our discussions.
Thank you very much. And now we have Mr. Rudy Borman, who is the Deputy Director of OGP Local. Please, Mr. Borman.
Thank you Sorin, good morning, everyone. We are super happy to be here today. I'm going to connect to something that the director Benitez has just mentioned, right? And it's about innovation, and it's innovation at the local level.
Can I stop you a moment? Can I stop you a moment, Mr. Bowman? There is a problem with the audio connection. There's a very hoarse sound. So, is it any chance for you to change the microphone or to put an external microphone? Or
Can you hear me better now?
no, it's better. It's much better. So please continue.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. So again, we are super excited to be here. We are super excited to partner with the Congress. We have been working with them for a long time. We see them as strategic partners, and we are very grateful to be here today, helping showcase these examples. As I was saying, and the director mentioned it very clearly, innovation at the local level in open government is where we are going to see probably the next years of open government really becoming way more real, because it's the level that is closer to the people. One thing that the pandemic showed with more clarity than ever was that level, in terms of the direct response to a major crisis like this, needs to have all the capacities to deal with this type of issues. So open government is about that. Open government, it's about creating capacities to cooperate better, to work better with others, to be smarter in the way we help each other to deliver results. It's not only about transparency, it's not only about anti-corruption, it's a set of skills that goes through different types of policies. So for us, being now running an expansion of our local track in the Open Government Partnership after 10 years of growing the biggest community in open government, for us is super challenging. A new set of local government have joined OGP in the last 2 years, moving from 15 local governments to now 76. We have, of course, members from Armenia, from Georgia, from Ukraine, that are joining our space, and having Moldova also as part of this roundtable. We think it's a fantastic opportunity. We are seeing a lot of good results. You are going to listen very concrete examples from partners later on this call. And as you know, we have right now a call for new locals to join. We are going to tell you everything later about this. And it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity because this program is all about delivering capacity to governments, delivering capacity to civil society, to work together. And this is not only in the context of OGP. These are capacities that you will require for any type of policy within your government. Open government is not an isolated capacity to train. It's an ability to do things in a more cooperative way. We are seeing a diversity of actions happening all around the world. This new program, this new local program, has members from Gwangju in Korea, to Peñalolén in Chile, to Ontario in Canada, to Kaduna in Africa, to Scotland in Europe, to Mexico City. The diversity is huge. The issues, the problems are really comparable, making this opportunity also to create a community of practice. And this will be also my second invitation to you, and the importance of this conversation today is, beside becoming probably or not a member of OGP Local, we are also creating a community of practice. And this partnership with the Congress of Europe, it's super relevant for us, because also creates a live space where we can also keep sharing and building up that community. This is not only about becoming a member of an organization, it's also making sure that we have channels open for you in order to support if you want to move forward regarding efforts on open government. So no matter to add, super excited to be here today. We have part of the team here, examples that you're going to hear. Happy to answer any question that you might have. And again, a pleasure always to work with the Congress and be supportive on this roundtable, regional, with the relevance and the good quality of the results we are also seeing in this region. So thank you very much, and happy to be here. Thank you, Sorin.
Thank you very much, Rudy. You'll come with more explanations later on, as you said, including about the new round of the OGP initiative. This is also a very practical session. Now we are entering the first actual panel of the meeting today, which is about sustainable strategies for national-local partnerships. And we have three distinguished speakers now, so I'm inviting them to join the the active screen, and they are Mr. Alexandru Slobojan from Ukraine, Mrs. Lilia Afrikian, who is the OGP coordinator at the cabinet of the Prime Minister of Armenia, and Ketevan Tsanava, who is at the OGP Georgia Secretariat, also at the central of the government of Georgia. So I wonder if Mr. Slobojan is ready. I think he is, so we can go ahead. We will address a number of issues in this first panel. And we will try to see how, I'm inviting the speakers to reflect on how they assess the inclusion of local authorities and their contributions regarding the OGP national commitments in terms of design, implementation, or evaluation. Also, please reflect on your experience in your respective country. What kind of strategies do you envisage in view of the dialogue and partnership between central and local authorities in order to have sustainability, because this is important. Whatever we do today, we need to ensure the initiatives will continue in the future. And finally, how do you see these dynamics, in particular in light of the OGP local program that is further expanding? So we will continue to discuss this topic today. Please, you are invited to reflect on these topics. And we will start with Ukraine, with Mr. Alexandru Slobojan, who, sorry for not mentioning, is executive director of the Association of Ukrainian Cities. Please, let's hear the intervention.
Good day, dear participants. I'm happy to welcome all the participants of this roundtable. The Association of the Ukrainian Cities this year is celebrating 30 years. It was founded in 1992, and currently it brings together over 1,000 municipalities. We enhance the European practices through 4 chambers. We have chambers for big, medium, small cities, and an actively growing chamber of rural municipalities. We represent and protect the interests of all the municipalities, regardless of their size and regardless of their social and economic indicators. As you will know, the decentralization reform implemented in Ukraine has been recognized by many European experts as the most successful. It has given the Ukrainian municipalities extended powers and budgets, but also devolved extensive responsibilities. So our cooperation with the central government these days is based on a win-win formula. The Congress of the local regional municipalities of Europe brings us together for over a number of years through close cooperation, but let me focus today on the theme of this roundtable, the open governance. And here we have achievements to share with you, as you have shared with us, as you have shared with the association and the Ukrainian municipalities. I hope our experience can be useful to your municipality as we've learned the best practices from you. when we started out on this road with the Association of the Cities. So in 2018, we started working to develop a roadmap for promoting and developing open governance and e-governance locally in Ukraine. Till now, until uh, until that point, no initiatives were implemented. We conducted a few roundtables, created focus groups bringing together different municipalities. We wanted to embrace not only the large municipalities who had the capacity to implement technologies, but also the towns and the smallest of villages, as the concept co-authored by the association aims to build capable municipalities capable of delivering effective public services regardless of their size or their financial resources. So then we started an effective dialogue with local authorities and central and regional governments in order to promote open governance. And it was more than sharing ideas by creating a truly effective platform for dialogue and the way to escalate local issues to the central level so that the voice of the communities is heard. Today, I'm proud to say that we have achieved a lot of objectives with the support of our partners from the Council of Europe. Firstly, we actively participated in the current action plan for the implementation of the Open Government Partnership for the year 2021-22. Accordingly, our proposal to train the public, self-governance institutions and central government in open data was reflected in the initiative, the creation of the National Competence Center for Open Data. It's operational now, and municipalities are trained. They enhance their communications and their performance in open data. Moreover, the Association of Ukrainian Cities has joined the Coordination Council with the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine to implement the Open Government Partnership. We are the sole national association to belong to the Coordination Council. My colleague Inna Sklar represents the interests of the Association of the Ukrainian Cities. At that time, the competent jury screened the entrants based on the performance indicators, and we were rated very highly. And currently, we are directly involved, serving as a direct link between the local communities and the central government through our representative. Moreover, the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine is a lead agency in Ukraine for open government, open data, e-governance. We signed a memorandum with the Ministry of Digital Transformation to introduce the position of officers for digitalization, open data, e-governance in the local municipalities. And the representative of the Association of Ukrainian Cities sits on the Public Council at the Ministry of Digital Transformation. And if before we talked about lack of communication between the local and central government, this has been now replaced with active engagement and promotion of local initiatives in the regulations enacted by the Cabinet of Ministers, but also at the level of the Parliament. In 2021, jointly with the Congress of Local Regional Authorities, we conducted our first meeting of the platform for dialogue between local and central government, where we discussed building cooperation and how we can involve municipalities in decision-making at both the local and central levels. The second meeting in December 21 followed on discussing achievements and focused on involvement of the young, which is so important. So now our plans for the year 22, 23, and 24, this is one of the top priorities. In May, During the International Open Governance Week, we participated in the governmental event, but also conducted our own best practices marathon. And this is a good initiative that could be replicated by other municipalities and associations. At that time, the speakers and moderators came from over 20 different Ukrainian municipalities. We are committed to continue bringing local municipalities into open government partnership, and this year 3 Ukrainian cities will join the effort. These were the first cities to join the OBGP locals, Khmelnytsky, Vinnytsia, Ternopil. Ukraine received the first and the third place in OGP awards. We are very proud to have received this award. We are very happy that Ukrainian municipalities were awarded by this distinction, and we are working to ensure that the experience of those municipalities will serve to inspire other municipalities in Ukraine to join the initiative. Currently, right now, there are 237 municipalities who have asked the Association of Ukrainian Cities for guidance on how they can compete this year for OGP local. The number is bound to grow. We will bring in our foreign partners and the 3 Ukrainian cities, Khmelnytsky, Vinnytsia, Ternopil, to provide the training and share experience, and I hope they will compete for the OGP awards next year. I'd like to say that in the last 2 years, the open government has spread based on the principles of transparency, integrity, accountability, and openness. And it's more than e-instruments, and some might think. Now municipalities are focusing on governance instruments that assure openness, transparency, methodology, and we will hear from the Ukrainian colleagues who represent the Ukrainian municipalities more about it. The association has shaped a vision for the delivery of public services. Let me sum it up as follows. Every territorial community is aware of what the elected government is doing. Every member can engage in effective and efficient with the self-government via internet or administrative services center. The more open the government is, the more residents are involved in managing local businesses, the more capable the community is financially wise, and the better the municipality can deliver its public services effectively and efficiently. Surely, because of the time limit, I could mention only a few of the achievements of municipalities and of the association in partnership and coordination with the central government. I'm wishing you a very productive discussion and every success, and I believe that involving municipalities and the association in the OGP has yielded a positive dynamics into the process of implementing open governance in Ukraine at all levels. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Slobodan. I am now inviting Mrs. Lilia Afrikian and to demand permission to be admitted in the main screen, and then Ketevan Tsanava from Georgia as well, because this is the order in which they will take the floor. Do we have Mrs. Afrikian? I see her in the user list, but I need a request in order to be able to let her speak. Okay, it is happening right now. Please take the floor, Mrs. Afrikian. You need to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm Lilia Afrikian, OGP Armenia Coordinator and Secretary. The Secretary is acting under the Prime Minister office. And it's my pleasure to be a part of this discussion and also meet my colleagues. Thank you for the idea of linking Democracy Summit, finding the advantages and disadvantages of OGP development, both at the executive and local levels. These 2 years have been very difficult and challenging for all countries and individuals. The trials were universal and unique tragedy for each country. Within these, in our bid to consolidate democracy, we all are facing multiple challenges. The biggest challenge for Armenia came into the form of military threats to our security. And fighting for democracy at home is yet another challenge for us. But precisely these difficulties force us to rethink and set ourselves new tentative tasks. In line with these, we should state that during these 2 years, people in Armenia became more proficient in using IT communication tools and acquired many negotiation and discussion skills, which help not to consider the special barriers. Generally, sustainable cooperation and development are possible depending on both expertise levels and on high-level political cooperation. We had Summit of Democracy last year and OGP Summit, and many leaders committed to consolidate of democracy in their countries through strengthening democratic institutions and effective mechanisms. Yes, the leaders committed, but what about the implementation and methodology? Here we should overlook the role of OGP, as this initiative has succeeded in developing participation processes and thematic intergovernmental coalitions based on democratic principles of transparency, accountability, participation, innovation. This new opportunity for all parties to mobilize resources on assessing the commitment of leaders announcing during Democracy Summit through OGP channel. Here, I would like to mention the point where to start. Currently, our government is developing a new national action plan and consider as a flagship the commitment of our Prime Minister announcement during the Democracy Summit. Especially, he underlined the rising of World Bank Worldwide Governance Indicator and Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, and committed planning, governance reforms, and implementation of policies that will build faith both in Armenia and among our partners abroad. You must agree, however, that this must be a mutual and reciprocal process of government and citizens for all governing levels, in executive, in legislative, and in local levels. Indeed, we have also evaluation from our NGO partners. For example, recently, TI published a survey on mapping participation platforms and their opportunities in Armenia. And OGP has taken a solid place here by acting as one of the main participation platforms and innovation channel, which launched a line of transformative democratic e-tools in Armenia, which were helpful during the COVID and the war. The OGP principles, both for executive and local levels, are the same, but from methodological point and standards, some descriptions must be reviewed. We had successful cooperation and outcome with largest Armenian communities of Gyumri Wanadzor, which are the members of local OGP, but also collected a line of disadvantages which we should consider working with other jurisdictions during this 2022 call. In the process of working with local authorities, we at first considered the development programs of these communities. Here we're able to find some interests for both communities as its consortium format. And then we followed the OGP guidelines for the local OGP using general OGP principles and policy directions. In line with this, it was very helpful to have practical democratic definitions developed by Council of Europe, which deal with local procurement, budgetary, policy participation phases, definition of code of ethics and integrity, the concept of open government, nepotism, etc. Also, we link the commitments with the SDGs, targets, and indicators, and describe how can these commitments, tackled by Gyumri and Vanator, reach these goals and targets. My colleague from one other municipality, also named Lilia, will go deeper into the co-creation and development process, and also we present you with the commitments that these communities have tackled. I would like to turn to some specification and use this channel to raise the questions and raise the concerns that we have. How do we orient which jurisdictions to integrate and support? We worked with, as I mentioned, Wanazor and Gyumri communities, as we have well-experienced local CSOs who are members of also OGP executive processes and members of our MSF. And also we had administrations who were open to integration and had experience of mutual projects with NGOs. For 2022 local OGP call, we reached other communities, but the lack of experience and knowledge leaves much to be desired, and therefore we all should significantly fill the gap. We do hope to discuss with European Councils of Europe how to enhance the capacity building and knowledge for other local communities from call to call. I mean from OGP local call to another call. The second point is, do we need centralized coordination of OGP executive, local and legislative branches? It is also very important point. Let me mention our encouraging example where we have already engaged active in local OGP integration. We support our local partners, both from administration and CSOs, with the co-creation and development processes of their local action plans. And also we were and are negotiating with our donor partners on the support of tackled commitments and also discussing some issues with our local OGP support unit. I would concentrate our attention that all was built on the individual's enthusiasm, and this includes a lot of risks here. So centralized coordination must be one of the standards of global OGP, as only institutionalization could ensure sustainable and natural processes. This is very supportive also for donor partners, where the support communication is going out from one channel, and sometimes the little disposals could be mobilized ad hoc. And coordinating secretaries are widely used for other international initiatives and actions. So I think these standards should be reconsidered by global OGP. The third point is how to develop sustainable institutions out of local elections. This is the other challenge that we faced during these days. This formulation intends to strengthen CSOs' rights and set up coalition as an alternative to local administrations for such initiatives. I would like to underline, it's only for such initiatives like OGP, SDGs, etc. This could motivate, first of all, NGOs and give them certain mandates for joining the process. And then this institutional approach could solve some barriers. For instance, Vanuatu is facing difficulties after the December elections, for some internal processes haven't helped elders formation and election of the head of administration. This community is facing a line of obstacles with the implementation of international commitments, including OGP, EU's commitments, and UN's other commitments. So the alternative CSOs coalition institution could assist in the implementation of international integration obligations, for some cases, including also financial ones. Then I would like to underline how can we make bridges and active cooperation for local members within Eastern Partnership community. What should we do about acting largely? The problems and interests of local citizens are widely diverse from capital ones. It's also well known, and they are more concrete, oriented on the certain issues. And locals have no communication barriers with their authorities, and the personal communion with reality is lived. And I'm happy to see all Eastern Partnership stakeholders here. We can also think of a large joint commitments for all Eastern Partnership local OGP member jurisdictions, like procurement commitments, participative budget commitments, and this also could strengthen the cooperation in the region. And finally, we should also not forget about building up communication channels culture among them, as all jurisdictions are the post-Soviet Union members, and the cultural change of democracy, unfortunately, integrated very slowly in communities. And this is the huge barrier that we couldn't overcome without strengthening the cooperation. These are the main points I wanted to share with you, and would be great if we could have an opportunity to discuss your points and approaches. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Afrikian. Let's have now Mrs. Ketevan Tsanava, from who is head of the OGP's secretariat in the government of Georgia. Please unmute yourself and turn on the camera, Mrs. Tsanava.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you very much to the Congress and OGP for organizing this roundtable as a follow-up to the OGP Global Summit, where we also had very interesting discussions around locals' engagement in OGP process. And I'm confident this gathering of practitioners will very much encourage greater involvement of local governments in OGP process. As for Georgia's experience, we could say that the involvement of municipalities was one of the innovations of the OGP Georgia's action plan for 2016-2017, as it was the first document to have commitments of 5 municipalities considered as a separate independent component. Later, this number has increased, and for the next OGP action plan, we had the commitment of 11 municipalities. The key reason behind the decision to involve locals in OGP national process was very simple, I would say. Local governments are closest to their citizens, among them in charge of delivering quite essential public services on a daily basis. And we all understood that open government is nothing else if not the citizen-centered governance. And additionally, it is clear that we cannot achieve, for example, a corrupt-free environment or the equal delivery of public services unless the reforms deep dive at the local level as well. So this is why we have decided to expand the OGP national process to local level as well. And eventually that is the reason why OGP local program itself was launched in 2016. And I would like to highlight that at the very beginning, idea of locals' engagement in OGP process in Georgia came through a wide range of public consultations across Georgia conducted in the framework of OGP process. And it was also very clear that for local or regional non-governmental organizations, it was essential to have a multi-stakeholder OGP platform at the local level and not to be relied only upon the dialogue mechanisms created at the central level. So this is an essential and critical part of our experience and observation that we've had during these years. Another part that I wanted to share with you is what has helped us to expand the coverage of locals in OGP Georgia's process? There are mainly 2 points, I would say. First, this was done clearly by the peer exchange. The 5 pilot municipalities that we had engaged in the first OGP action plan had a great influence over their colleagues and other municipalities by sharing their experience and sharing their challenges they had during the process, as well as successes they faced as a result of the commitments enshrined in the OGP action plan. And second point, from Georgia's experience particularly, that I'm always trying to highlight is the donor support that we got, especially from the UNDP and USAID teams. And they have prioritized local engagement in OGP process. And as you know, this might not be true only for Georgia's experience, but sometimes resources at the local level are quite limited, and this is an excellent opportunity for the secretariats or for international donors and others to be part of this process and somehow to encourage local engagement, because we did have some of the cases when municipalities were very much interested to be part of the process, but at that particular time, the resources were limited. So it was an excellent to have donor support in this process. And as you know, in October 2020, 3 cities, 3 municipalities from Georgia became new members of OGP Local. And I know that you will be speaking about the OGP Local program a bit later, but as of now, at the national level, it is our strategy to have new municipalities join the OGP national process through the OGP national action plan. The ones who have not been part of this process previously, and to prepare themselves for the OGP local program. This is how we saw the interlinkages between the OGP national process and OGP local program, which create more opportunities for different cities and municipalities, local governments, to have their own action plan, new commitments, to have their reporting mechanism in close cooperation with civil society organizations. And this is the critical part for us. This might not be strategy for all countries, but from our experience at least, what we saw was that having municipalities as part of OGP National Action Plan did create a solid ground for them to apply for the OGP local program. And now as we see, they better understand the requirements of OGP local program, they better understand the key principles, etc. And they are better ready for the independent OGP process at the local. Currently, what we are doing, and just I wanted to very briefly mention that we were looking at the content that was covered by municipalities, and we realized that the most common topics they are working on through the OGP National Action Plans were transparency and integrity strategies that are in itself a separate big documents aiming to fight corruption, etc. We had a lot of commitments around open data and encouraging publishing open data. E-services and providing these e-services was also another priority area for municipalities, and participatory budgeting and civic engagement appears to be one of the hot topics for municipalities in the framework of OGP Georgia. Something that we're trying now and will be doing for the next couple of months, because we are currently started the OGP new action plan elaboration process, is to think through with them about expanding the thematic areas itself. Because, for instance, the program coverage today that is hosting this event is linked to the human rights. And as time goes by, we see that the coverage of the OGP topics is becoming larger every day, and we need to think about the human rights perspective as well, and make sure that the open government reforms take into account the freedoms and human rights that we need to be aware of on a daily basis. And another component that we are trying to prioritize with our local partners is to have solid dialogue mechanisms permanent dialogue mechanism at the local level for OGP process with local civil society organizations, because we do have the similar mechanism at the central level, which sets a good example of how this can be translated at the local level as well. And just to summarize, since 2016, we have observed globally that some of the most exciting reforms and some of the most innovation, I would say, of democracy is definitely happening at the local level, from co-design to participatory budgets to local procurement reform to support local businesses, etc. So I would say this is an excellent opportunity for local governments to join either the OGP national process or OGP local program new cohorts. I know that you will be speaking in details about this a bit later, but let me also state that we stand ready to support our locals would it be in the preparation of applications or explaining the different process, etc. So now we are at your disposal, and thank you very much again to the organizers of this event and providing the platform for exchange of knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Zanava, and thank you all the panelists also for their excellent timing. We have some minutes for discussion now, and as I understand, there are two persons who are prepared to intervene, David Melua and Mrs. Natalia Oksha. You need to ask me for the, to allow you in the main panel, and also probably Rudy Borman might want to say something at the end. And please, everyone in the audience, if you want to say a few words, you need to request to speak. I also have Mr. Alexandru Otsac from Moldova, and I'm allowing him in. David, yes, please go on directly, David. And we are still waiting for, we have also Mrs. Oksha as well. So please proceed in this order. David, Mrs. Oksha, and Alexandru. You need to unmute, David.
Good evening or good afternoon. I take this opportunity to speak into my native language. It's very important to take part in this event. Open government program initiative is a very important component for local authorities in Georgia. A lot of municipalities have engaged in the program, and we can say the three basic components to be the major achievements of the program is very much support for transparency. Participants can view the experience of Georgian municipalities. Another component is in integrity and anti-corruption plans in the municipalities. And number three, activities, steps made toward citizen participation. Of course, the municipalities are called for taking part in those initiatives, but I'd like to mention two preconditions. First is good coordination mechanisms, and this is why municipalities were well involved in the process and in the discussion together with the central government. And another precondition is that the municipalities need targeted assistance to make sure they can implement the activities in an effective manner. Donors play a very important role, and a representative from the Georgian government has mentioned that we see high activity from donors, but we wish to draw more municipalities, especially that are not well off, I would say poor municipalities. They need targeted assistance from different agencies, different donors. And I think we need to raise this issue and discuss how to make sure that not only strong municipalities, then municipalities that do have experience in OGP program, but also municipalities that are relatively poor in terms of funding and do not have such experience, but are willing to join the matter. Our association is working into this direction and will continue cooperation in the future as well. Thank you very much. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Mr. Melua. Please, Mrs. Oksha.
Доброго дня. Всім дякую за надане.
So, good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm very pleased to participate in this event because real exchange of experience among different countries, the most so countries that work with us, have been working for a long period of time within Eastern Partnership. We do have a lot of commonalities and common experience. However, we also have our differences, and these specific features make it possible for us to look for some tailor-made solutions in certain areas. To add to what Alexander has mentioned today already, Mr. Slobodan, well, actually today interaction, cooperation between the central executive authorities and local governments in the framework of open government partnership has become more structured, this interaction. So we hold meetings among representatives of central authorities and representatives of local governments to discuss issues that are relevant for the local level. The representative of the association participated in the competition and is now a member of the coordination board of the steering committee. However, let me also emphasize that we have had several attempts to engage local and regional levels to interaction during implementation of the initiative. Even in the first action plan that we approved back in 2012, 3 regional administrations were covered. That's the regional level, so they were represented with their activities in the framework of the plan. And also 1 municipality, that's Kiev, the capital, was also represented with the respective activities. But we see that not always we can manage and monitor implementation of these plans. So when further plans were developed, certain administrations and certain cities did not engage in national plans. We also had the experience where regional state administrations, public administrations, developed their own plans to implement this initiative. In particular, when the second action plan was set up, was developed, the national action plan. Each oblast or regional state administration, in view of the national targets and objectives, developed the respective lower level plan. But then we analyzed that work and we could see that these plans were not efficient, I mean regional plans, not efficient enough, because mostly that was copy-paste of those assignments that and those objectives that were included into the national plan without taking into account some local or regional aspect, and we believe that it was not very efficient.
Це включення.
The next step was to involve our action in the National Action Plan, calling for action by all the local municipalities. In particular, this was to do with the city building documentation, that all the cities, municipalities have to have their general city building plan. But analyzing the way this commitment was implemented, we have seen that we lack full information whether all the cities have approved their own city building plans. And considering that the local self-governance agencies are truly independent of other branches of parliament, we had no means of controlling them. And therefore the commitments have remained not fully fulfilled. And currently the challenge for us lies in the way of including municipalities in the national action plans. Some other countries may do it differently, may do it on a different basis, but when we discussed the fifth action plan, when we drew up the fifth action plan, which is being implemented today, we did it in the difficult times when the pandemic broke out in 2020, when the local self-governance institutions were most actively involved in developing the action plan. The suggestion was made to take action, which was incorporated in the National Action Plan. This was independent of the implementation of local self-governance, but it was relevant for most self-governance institutions. And this can be a way to address the challenge that lies in drawing up the National Action Plan. So in other words, instead of spelling out specific action for municipalities to take within the National Action Plan, but do the discussion and lead the process of co-creation involving the local self-governance, seeing the challenges that are of greatest concerns to the public, so that these decisions to the challenges would be then formulated as tasks for the national action plans. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Oksa. And now, please, a few words from Mr. Alexandru Osaci from Moldova. Probably not more than 1 or 2 minutes, please, Mr. Osaci. Unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ionita. I beg your forgiveness. I'm quite sick, so I will not turn on my camera if it is possible.
No problem. No problem. We hear you well.
Thank you. I just indeed briefly, I have basically 3 questions or 3 inquiries maybe. First of all, thank you for all the information we already received. More in the future, but right away emerge several observations on what has been said. First of all, it concerns the funding for the program. Is there a specific budget line is envisaged for the measures to be undertaken? Because we do understand
the speaker
structured and very well brought in, packaged and delivered. We need some kind of funding for sure. We need also participation probably from the highest level. I would say the Congress leadership, maybe some other prominent organizations at the European Union level, involvement, engagement.
Excuse me, I don't hear what Mr. Osaci is saying.
Between central and local governments, and this would be essential. I would also see here, for example, a very big role of the Congress, particularly in promotion of the local autonomy and local democracy with international partners, first of all, because we see less and less, let's say, attention to local and democracy and local autonomy on behalf of the international partners. More and more centralized approaches in each and every field, which we quite often have to combat or to overrule somehow or to counter-argue. Very important to have some kind of capacity building for international partners, international organizations, both in countries and in Brussels and Strasbourg. I wonder if such kind of activities were at least contemplated somehow. And last but not least at all, I see in all this initiative a very important role of the local government associations. maybe even more to an extent than local governments, because this is, if we are talking about central to local dialogue in particular, here the role of associations is not just imperative, but it is the most important in terms of the proactivity, because it's mostly the associations which are pushing for these dialogues at the central level, and rather rare this is being done by central governments. So thank you very much. These are not at all too much of the predetermined opinions, but much more like a questions if you have any answers. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Osadchi. Now I think we need to move on pretty fast and shift to the second panel, which is about effective local partnerships for democratic renewal and human rights protection. And we have a distinguished list of people with experience directly from municipalities, from the local government. And I suggest they request the connection to the main floor. We start with Mrs. Lilia Davtian, the head of projects and external relations in the municipality of Vanadzor. And we have also Arpine Hakobian from an NGO in Armenia as well. But I need a request from them to speak, and I don't see it yet. But until it comes, maybe I can invite Mr. Rudy Borman, who is already connected, to reflect a little bit on what was said in the first panel and probably address some of the problems which were raised by Mr. Osadchi. Rudy, are you on reception? Yes, you are now. And I'm still waiting for Mrs. Davtian and Hakobian, but also for Nana Tavdumadze and the rest of the participants. Please request. You see the button, the fifth button from the top is request, and please request, because I need to allow you to join the main screen. Rudy, so if you can add a few words until people connect.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, very short, just to add that we have heard different type of approaches into bringing locals into open government, right? National counterparts play a very important role. Usually they can create a space where locals can do their first steps in open government, for example, or learn about experiences, or either can be locals that independently are part of these exercises, or other type of approaches. So doing open government, it's really, there's not only one flavor to do it. What I think it's relevant to mention here is that for making open government sustainable, it's important that the steps we give, it's not about joining an international organization or becoming a member. It's about making sure that the steps we give become institutionalized. Either it's in our municipality, either it's in the national government. So in the future, if there is a change in the government, either civil society, either the new government has the rules, has the tools, has the guidance and the capacity built inside to run these processes in the future. This is what we are seeing, for example, in Mexico. Mexico, through the National Action Plan, had a specific commitment to institutionalize open government in the whole country. So now, open government exercises are being done by this law that they have all over the country, without becoming necessarily an OGP member, which is not the objective. The objective for us is create a space where we can practice, where we can exchange, but we can view where you can learn and do your different steps. So today, our local members that you're going to hear about, from them today are becoming sort of guidance for other locals. So to wrap up, just to say that the open government community is always ready to have a conversation, to give a hand, and to help you on your coordination. This is, I would say, like the real heart of the open government community. If you really want to go into this direction, you're going to find someone to help you out. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rudy. I suggest we proceed with the second panel and to change the order and start with Georgia because people have already connected. So we have Mrs. Nada Tavdumadze and Mrs. Tamar Glonti, and starting until the colleagues from Armenia manage to connect as well. And we have interesting issues to explore. There's a noise somewhere, parasite noise, I think from one of the from the connections. I don't know. And please reflect on the experience that you have in terms of joint efforts between local authorities and national authorities in your country and the civil society in this co-creation effort. And in what way these OGP commitments and protection of human rights are interlinked in your experience, in what you implemented in your countries, and if you can mention some examples and tools that you have implemented and what lessons you learned in your respective countries, that would be great. So I stop here because time is short. So let's start with Georgia, with Mrs. Tavdumadze. And then I'm inviting again the colleagues from Armenia to request, to press the button and request admission in the main panel. Thank you. Please proceed.
Hello, my greetings. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And during this dialogue, we can share our valuable experience that we have in Ozurgeti municipality. In general, we can say that Ozurgeti municipality has a big experience of innovative innovations, and we've been working with local organizations, and we were partnered with the international organizations as well. This laid the foundation for the initiatives that helps us to strengthen transparency, to develop and establish open systems and provide services. Because we, the local government, we are the service providers, and this cooperation is really very important. As a result of this cooperation, I am proud to say that we had the Ozurgeti municipality became the member of OGP, and that was the clear demonstration of our ambitious goal. We want to be the advanced municipality in terms of accountability, transparency, and openness. And I guess this is the important trend that we are committed to. Let me also point out that, well, I mentioned that Ozurgeti municipality is actually the leader in this respect, and this is the result of the civil society involvement as well. The municipality was one of the local governments that joined the OGP national process in 2016, and since then we had two national plans, national action plans, and then we have the new round, and we are the members of OGP local because of our long-term visions. I will not speak about the platforms that we have established based on this co-creation, and Tamar will speak about that. But I want to speak about the institutionalization for achieving sustainable results. We try to use all the tools that we have in our legislation, but not only. Also, judging from the international practices and local practices, we always try to achieve the good results, and we also cooperated with NGOs, and we had the transparency and openness strategy. This is what we elaborated, and this was a document that helped us to prove that it is important to make changes, and all the action plans should be institutionalized at the local level. This is a very important process, and there was discussions, and there was consensus, and finally this plan was approved by the local council of Ozurgeti municipality, and also these steps are also influenced by our membership from OGP local, because we get qualified assistance from that. Also, Open Governance Georgia Secretariat is there, and we have a very constructive cooperation. Also, we have had cooperation with NGOs, USAID Good Governance Initiative, and I would like to thank them because they help the municipalities to have the processes institutionalized. And one more thing, these co-creation processes are extremely important, that once again it proves that the citizens also want changes, and this is the main message that gives us a positive impetus, and we really want to strengthen the open governance at the local level. As for the institutionalization process, in this respect, we have made a very ambitious proposal for the OGP, and our commitments are about creation the system for ensuring the risks of corruption, and also to provide effective public services to our citizens, fiscal transparency, and more involvement and more participation. All these three areas are reflected in the action plan of the municipality, which means that we try to adopt the policy documents as the guidance that will help us in our future endeavors. And in general, we can say that as for the citizens, the open local governance, this is the right of citizens to participate through the elected individuals, and also to address the issues of local significance. And this is where all the transparent systems help us, because these are intended for their participation and for protecting their rights. And I think that the Ozurgeti municipality clearly proved that there is no alternative to the co-creation processes. And it is important to have these processes at every level, and this is how we can achieve positive results. And I hope that this is not the final result. We are pursuing this way, and our main objective is not only to maintain and keep the progress, but also to expand, to develop, to find more partners, to learn more international experience. And we also invite other counterparts, international organizations, those organizations who are willing to create a similar systems to become open and transparent, because we are the open and transparent municipality. And a good example is that at our Ozurgeti municipality, we have an open secretariat, and here we have the local NGOs as members, and also we have vulnerable groups and their representatives. We want to make the process more inclusive, and we want to make the process more diverse, and to have more stakeholders in that. And I guess that we will have more plans elaborated in the future in this respect. This is what I can say, and we are ready to share our experience, specifically about what achievements we had. I think Tamar is the better person to speak about that, because let me say once again, any success that we have achieved, that was thanks to the participation and active involvement of the NGOs and civil society was the key, because feedback of the citizens is also very important, because whenever we get the feedback from citizens, that makes things more informed and easier. Challenges. We have so many challenges globally and locally, but we do our best to find the new ways that will help us to have more involvement of the citizens, and we introduce new methods for that, so that to make these challenges and to transform the challenges into the opportunities. And I think this can be the precondition for our future success. Thank you.
Please unmute yourself. Meanwhile, I hope that the colleagues from Armenia, they solve their technical problems and they can send me a request so that I admit them. And this also for the colleagues in Ukraine from Khmelnytsky municipality. I see there's a link in the participation list, Khmelnytska Miska Rada, which I suppose is a council. So please send me a request so that I can admit you, so that you can speak. Thank you. Please, Mrs. Glund.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the floor. So, dear colleagues, I want to say that it's an exceptional opportunity for me to represent the coalition of civil society organizations partnering with Ozurgeti municipality government to accomplish these open governance initiatives. I represent the civil society organization called the Institute for Change and Innovations. So the organization has 22 years of history working in the field of civil society development in the regions of Georgia. Before I start sharing the best practices achieved through the partnership of local civil society organizations and Ozurgeti municipality government, I would like to thank you for enabling our participation in this Congress. And I want to send my sincere gratitude to the Council of Europe for this opportunity. And thank you for your valuable contribution to the global and local democracy development processes. And it's my pleasure to be part of this wonderful event. As I mentioned, Ozurgeti municipality has extensive experience in accomplishing innovative projects in partnership with civil society organizations. And this team of civil society organizations represent the organization that I said, the Institute for Change and Innovation, the Progress Hub, Development Union of Georgia, and together with the Ozurgeti Municipality Assembly and the City Hall, we kind of co-created this chapter, contributing to the improvement of local governance in Ozurgeti Municipality. I would like to focus your attention to some of key accomplishments. And I want to start from the very beginning. Back in 2015, we started to live stream the Ozurgeti Municipality Assembly meetings. And this way, this was a tool to ensure citizen participation by live transmitting municipality assembly sessions on the website. By the time, actually, there was no Facebook Live. To make the engagement more active, we introduced comment section where users could and can interact with decision makers and ask questions. And additionally, citizens can receive thematic SMS messages and updates about upcoming assembly meetings and also some results of the assembly meetings and so on and so forth. Using the tool, we also expanded and established 6 civic engagement centers in the region, in the rural areas of Ozurgeti municipality. And using these centers, local citizens we are able to attend Ozurgeti municipality assembly meetings. So-called these rural civic engagement facilities kind of promoted civic participation and in the municipality assembly meetings. So I would say that throughout 2021, totally 2,700 users watched live stream of Ozurgeti Facebook posted assembly meetings. In 2016, we introduced paper-based petition system. And This was the first time of introducing paper-based petition system in the municipality, and as the results of the project, online petition system was introduced to create digital civic space. So based on this citizen feedback, procedures were altered over the time, requiring a reduced percentage of signatories to register the petition in order to boost participation. So in the years of 2018 and 2021, totally 27 e-petitions were submitted. I would like also to pay your attention to one of the innovative tools established as part of the participatory budgeting. So this online platform was created, and the so-called the platform was called Be a Co-Governor. So that means to participate in the governance process. So the citizens using this platform, the citizens are engaged in the planning of the municipality. So and they can fund infrastructural projects of Ozurgeti city by using online so-called vouchers. So from the municipality budget. So at this point, this percentage of citizen engagement level reaches up to 40%. So, you know, it's very important to educate local public about local governance, essence of local governance, and their role and possible participation in local governance process. So we have conducted awareness raising on the local governments and OGP literature to spread knowledge among communities about local governance and existing civic participation instruments. So our municipality has created dedicated cyberspace combining all the available information in one repository that is accessible from other municipalities' website and includes a separate field dedicated to searching for information on the CSO's website. And also as a result of excuse me, this partnership, updated comprehensive website of Ozurgeti municipality was created. So within 2019 and 21, approximately 10,000 unique users, and we are registered. So, and at this moment, we just recently started a new initiative with the financial support of NDI to introduce innovative mechanisms for civic engagement and local government transparency, and that program will be implemented in Ozurgeti municipality. This project intends to create a sustainable platform for citizen participation, and this will be also used to raise awareness of local municipality public about electronic mechanisms for public engagement in local governance process and its engagement in the open government partnership. So, so in the end, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all donor organizations supporting these innovative projects. So I don't want to miss any of them, but I would like to mention Europe Foundation, NDI, NED, USAID Good Governance Initiative Program, UNDP, European Union. Thank you for supporting these wonderful programs and projects. So I would like to express and send special thanks to Open Government Partnership Global Team and Georgia Secretariat, because thank you for being there for us and for doing their best to facilitate and support this wonderful process of co-creation. And we all strive for better good governance. And also, I would like to thank to OGP local team, and we are really honored that the municipality is a member of this honorable platform with the local civil society organization, and our organization is part of this, so we are really honored and grateful. And in the end, I would like to conclude that we as civil society organization representatives are really eager and motivated to learn more about the innovative methods on how to co-create and design policies together with the citizens. We are really happy and will be really eager to and open for partnership with other civil society organizations outside of Georgia. And because we believe that together we can contribute to democracy and civil society building process. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Glonti. I think we, in what you presented, we have a perfect example of co-creation and this good cooperation between civil society in a country and the government, and especially the OGP representatives of the government, and how this can be fruitful in a very practical way. I think we've managed to solve the technical problem, and now we have Armenia online. So Mrs. Davdian, please, from the municipality of Vanadzor. I'm glad we have you in.
Hello, I apologize for the slight technical problems. I will very briefly present our partnership with OGP. OGP has worked in Armenia on the national level, and when we received the invitation to work on the local level, it was a bit scary, but still very challenging and very interesting, because we didn't have such experience on the local level yet of doing any OGP activities on the local level. So with our national partners, we tried step by step, bit by bit, to elaborate what can be done on a local level, how we can implement projects, and how we can really achieve our main goals. The goal being open and transparent governance of our communities. The process was very long. We worked extensively with civil society and with NGOs. And the main partners are the Vanadzor and Gyumri municipalities. It was a result of the joint engagement of the two cities and their municipalities, and all of this couldn't be done without the support of our good partners from civil society. And on the national level, we work with our partners such as Lilia Africa. And after an extensive process, we selected 5 key areas in which we want to engage on the local level. And these are transparent governance of municipal resources, which will be done in the municipalities of Gyumri and Vanadzor. The second one is the transparency of the municipal budget. For this point, for the budget transparency, there was a very strong feedback from the citizens in both communities. On the national level, this was earlier organized. The budget was as transparent as it could be, but on the local level, it was done in a very complicated manner. The forms were not very accessible to the citizens, and they weren't really understandable or user-friendly. So with the NGO Center, we developed a wonderful project that we submitted to the Council of Europe, and to our joy, and to the joy of our fellow citizens, we have already received approval to implement this project. And we hope that in our next meeting, we will have all of this to demonstrate to you, to share with you, and of course, we will have our citizens satisfied. Let me speak now about the other commitments. One commitment is related to ensuring the accessibility of municipal structures for persons with disabilities. We plan to create a platform where citizens who have disability can enter and see and understand whether a building is accessible for them, when it will become accessible, what obstacles there are to accessibility. With civil society and international donors and local actors, we need to do a lot more. We need to do our best to consolidate our efforts in this field of accessibility. The next one is in Vanadzor and in Gyumri to place an interactive screen with announcements on what will happen in the communities and presenting the community strategies and longer-term development plans. These are interactive screens to show how we see, what is our vision for the development of the community. In that way, citizens can contribute to the discussion. And a final point on the local level. is more of an environmental topic. It has to do with public transport. This is already underway. Some activities are already being done in this field. This is an EU project. Like the OGP project, it is implemented in 2 cities, in Vanadzor and in Gyumri, and as a result of that project, we will have information campaigns, we will have activities for reduction of CO2, and we will acquire 5 electrical buses with their fueling stations, which will be made accessible for persons with disabilities. Ticket validation electronic systems will be installed as well. That was my brief overview of our plans. I would like to speak about some challenges that we have encountered in this process. As you know, on December 5, Vanadzor had a local government election, and the community has also been consolidated with several other communities, and the new municipal council was elected. But up until now, a mayor hasn't been elected, which is an obstacle to the activities of the community and to the implementation of projects. Now, we've thought about this and we've discussed this, and we developed a recommendation that perhaps we will benefit the flexibility of implementation of Council of Europe projects. Whenever there are issues in the municipality, we don't want the projects to stop or to get interrupted. So we would rather have these projects implemented jointly with NGOs. Although from the very beginning, we drafted our project with the NGO center, and we will be implementing it that way, but we have issues because of the absence of a community mayor. And we still, unfortunately, do not know when we will have a community mayor. We hope, though, that this will be soon addressed, because we already have the municipal council in place to possibly have some flexibility in the project. There's a problem, we want to address the problem, and I suggest, if it is possible, to consider other options as well, to discuss other options, and if possible, to inform us. But it would be good if our problems could be quickly solved and we could implement the project ourselves and not have to transfer it to an NGO. This is all from me. If there are questions, I'll be happy to answer, or otherwise also share our experience in this field and tell you more about what we have done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much as well. I suggest now we shift to our colleagues in Ukraine, in the municipality of Khmelnytsky. And we have Mr. Mykola Vavrishchuk, who is a deputy mayor, and Mr. Chernenko, who is from a local NGO, if I understand correctly. So please proceed. But they disappear from the screen right now.
Ես
Finally, we have
շատ ուրախ եմ
Mrs.
մասնակցելու այս
Arpit
հանդիպմանը եւ
Hakobian
կարծում եմ, որ Յան արդեն
from the
ամենի
NGO
մասին
Center in
ասեց,
Armenia.
ես հենց ՀԿ ներկայացուցիչն եմ, հանդիսանում եմ ՀԿ կենտրոնի նախագահը եւ տեղական
Next participant, Arpine. I'm a representative of an NGO in collaboration with the municipality. We developed the proposal and submitted it, and we had a possibility of becoming a leading OGP member for 2 cities, Gyumri and Vanadzor. This was quite an advancement in our case because we consider it very important to have the collaboration between the open governance partnership and the local community, and for us it is a very important fact. And the commitments that were taken within the framework of the local OGP, and Lilia has already spoken about that. It was about the following, that the civil society for a number of years was displaying its activity, its enthusiasm, and we are now sure that this stubbornness, in a way, this active involvement would create possibilities for the citizen to become an active participant of decision making in matters which relate to citizens' life. The cooperation became much easier, and for that we're very grateful to the representatives of the municipality and Mrs. African, because she made this very accessible, very clear for everyone. And today I think that the main issue for us is that the information about OGP and the initiatives, more information should be spread within the communities, within the constituencies, so that they have better potential and capacities of participation, oversight, cooperation. And I think the next step should be having the civil society a very important role player in OGP processes. And the next two cities, the second and the third large cities, that is Vanazur and Gyumri, through cooperation, having different problems and challenges, were able to come up with a single united action plan. And I think this is a very successful experience to present to others, so that every urban municipality, and not only urban municipality, feels that it is quite possible to cooperate this much at this point. And as an NGO representative, I want to say that this is a platform wherein, just in a cooperation mode, you are able to advance those issues and principles for which you were struggling for years. And open governance partnership is a very important field framework for open, transparent, accessible, accountable governance. Thank you.
With the civil society from Armenia this time. Let's move to Ukraine, to the municipality of Melnitsky. So please, Mr. Deputy Mayor, take the floor.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Khmelnytsky joined the initiative Partnership Open Governance in 2020, and we are grateful to everyone for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you for recognizing our achievements in openness and transparency of our government. Indeed, last year we did organize a number of events, and we did make a lot of breakthroughs in our community. We worked hand to hand with our civil society activists and OGP experts to develop the objectives of the Open Government Partnership for the year 22 for the Khmelnytsky community. We have to remark that our initiatives to create a green city for our Khmelnytsky town and creation of an educational center were awarded, as we won the first place in the awards, local innovation awards for the OGP. This has been a great boost for us, for our team, propelling us forward, implementing new projects and implementing the current projects. Our action plan is now being drawn up for Khmelnytsky. It has generated a lot of interest amongst the stakeholders and the municipal council, the communal enterprises, civil society organizations, private businesses, and educational institutions are all united in drawing up a basic environmental document for our community. Every month, we hold broad consultations to shortlist the potential activities that will be incorporated in the action plan, the Green City, and we hope to present this comprehensive document that we've been working on for more than a year. A special interest and a special matter is a waste treatment facility. It's an educational center for the waste treatment. It's the only one in Ukraine. This center was created in September last year, and in 5 months it has received over 5,000 children. It's enjoying immense popularity, and this is a joy to us. We strive to ensure that our residents are duly informed and that they receive the services and address their needs online. So we keep implementing e-services. Currently, we are able to deliver 46 communal services online. We plan to upgrade village libraries as a lot of villages amalgamated in our municipality a year ago, and we try to bring in the university and school students. We run competitions for innovative projects. We teach digital literacy to our residents. For 2 years, we've allocated significant funding to implement the e-initiatives that are submitted to the participatory budget. So this year we received 65 such proposals, and the residents voted them in. Last year we started forming a participatory budget for the schools of our community. We are in touch with the civil activists as we design instruments to communicate with the civil society institutions to address the different challenges that we face as a community. We continue to be actively involved at the national level. We are also implementing our local commitments undertaken through the OGP initiative, through the Council of Europe cooperation line to ensure the communication potential meet the social needs. Last year, jointly with the Council of Euro experts, we designed a regulation on public space in Khmelnytsk community, and we've started taking specific steps to implement the regulations. So at this, I would like to thank the leadership and experts of the partnership, Open Governance, the Council of Europe, the Congress of Regional and Local Authorities of the Council of Europe for their unfailing support and cooperation. We are ready to move forward to implement the new ideas, generate new initiatives, and implement the current programs. And at this, I'd like to pass the floor to Oleg Chernenko, who represents a civil society organization, Khmelnytsky Initiative, who will talk about the stages of implementation of this initiative. Greetings to the participants. If you could upload my presentation, please. Could you upload my presentation? Thank you. I'd like to visualize my presentation to talk about our experience of formulating a joint action plan. If I could have the next slide. So, this is the chronology of events. Our first acquaintance with the OGP happened in 2018 at the summit in Tbilisi, and already in 2020 we applied for the participation in OGP local, and in 2021 was the year when we formed a team of activists, conducted the training, tried to formulate our activities, participated in open governance events, and we finally drew an action plan and submitted our proposal to the competition. Let me say a couple of words about the way the action plan was drawn. We started by learning the best practices, as I feel it's very important. We looked at other experiences of the open governance partnership. We looked through the guidance documents, which were very helpful to us in drawing up the action plan, and we trained the team of local civil activists. This is a training in progress on the slide. We uh, invited proposals in order to formulate the objectives for the action plan. And this dialogue has made the action plan very practical on the one hand, but also most realistic. And this has helped to bring in the community, the civil society. And this partnership is working effectively now, and this action plan is being implemented, and it will be implemented. Let me talk about our action plan that we have committed to. We have committed to providing businesses and residents with high-quality municipal services using digital technology. Our community goes beyond this city of Khmelnytsky, but incorporates another 20 villages, which also deserve fair access to information, and this is the objective we have set out to achieve. We formulated the Green Course Action Plan for the green economy development, for this economy to be green and inclusive and to ensure growth. For that, it has to be climate neutral. And lastly, we decided we would develop the digital compasses of the community residents and develop their digital culture. We have seen this task as most relevant during the pandemic, when the residents couldn't make use of the services that were earlier available to them and are currently available to them. But during the pandemic, they couldn't access the services. So we aimed to work with the public to teach our residents on how to use the social services from their armchair with a cup of coffee. So we prepared for the global summit, prepared our presentation, and applied with the most interesting initiative. And we did one, and we were awarded the first award for local level innovations that you can see on this slide. We felt it was important to disseminate the information about our initiative so that this is known beyond the community. We wanted people to know that we are applying to this competition, so the other regions learned about this event and our initiative. Now we are implementing the objectives we have set out to do. We have already inaugurated the Hafi Center. You can see it on the website. On the slide, we are organizing tours. It's very popular amongst the children and the young people. The guests to the city are equally interested, and it's the only center of the kind in the country. We also drew up the action plan, the Green City. We are now implementing the residents' office to access municipal services. We are continuing developing our geoportal and adding data to it, and we are implementing a project called Digital Volunteering. We are teaching our residents digital literacy. What's next? It's being done now. We're sharing experience like now with you. We're also conducting trainings for the public, for the librarians that will in turn teach the children to access digital services. We participate in national and local events. We cooperate with civil society to implement our action plan. And this goes beyond our local CSOs, but we reach out to the national CSOs in Ukraine with relevant expertise, and we inform the public about the implementation of the action plan, as it has to be done in continuous dialogue, continuing openness of our governments, and strengthening the participation of our public to ensure their basic rights and needs, the right to information. So at this, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to share our experience. Thank you for giving us a chance to hear from other participants of this roundtable, as it broadens our opportunities, it broadens our awareness of the potential of reform. Thank you.
Dear colleagues from Khmelnytsky, now we have three people. Mrs. Oksana Derkach from Poltava, Mr. Levon Barsegian, but they need to send me invitations, requests in order to. Yes, Mrs. Derkach already did it, and Levon as well. Yes, so now you are in. Please intervene, but I beg you for not more than 2 or 3 minutes each, because we are a bit short of time. And I'm also waiting for Mr. Lado Jurkadze from Georgia. He was in the screen but left. So if you can rejoin, that would be good. Please, Mrs. Derkach, proceed.
Thank you for this opportunity to join the discussion of this key issue. I believe that to uphold the values of open governance and human rights, it's important to bring in the civil society, to involve them in all the processes happening in the local governance. And in this context, I would like to underscore the operation of the self-governance structures as a form to organize the communities, and there is legal regulation in Ukraine as to their operation. And these are the very structures that helped build the bridge of communication between the residents and the government. And I'd like to say that often these structures are staffed with the most committed and dedicated people who are committed to serving the public. Let me share a story how we brought in the structures when we formed the participatory budget in 2016. They became the very structures to adopt and embrace the idea and to take it to the public. And then they rolled out the programs. And these self-organization institutions were most active in submitting ideas and implementing them. And these territories were well regulated. They improved some leisure areas. They enhanced the local infrastructure. So these self-organization structures are important, and I mention them because I'd like to consider these structures for the Council of Europe projects and other projects, so that these structures could receive support both in methodological and financial way, as I feel that when we say that the local self-governance institutions are the closest to the people, we should remember that the institutions of self-organizations are the people. and they can implement and realize the right of the citizens to take part in governance and all the processes happening in their municipalities, and they can contribute to the development of their charities. Thank you for the opportunity to have this say, and I hope that in future in Poltava you can learn about the experience of other cities, of other countries, about the operation of such structures.
Thank you, Mrs. Derkacek. Is very active, including in participatory budgeting and in other participation projects. Let's move to Armenia now, Mr. Levon Barsegian. Please, you have probably about around 2 minutes. Then we have Mr. Lado Jurkadze from Georgia.
Yes, thank you very much. Hi, everybody. Just several remarks on this very great issue. I want to mark that the cooperation of local governments or municipalities with local civil society on this case, OGP local, is very significant for Armenia. I cannot remember another good example for the field of the cooperation between these two parts of the societies. But the lesson, two lessons learned about this issue. The operational and fundraising skills of municipalities in Armenia is very poor, unfortunately. And it is very much important to have some tools for the future for capacity of the municipality. Training courses may be for capacity building, for fundraising, and for grant making, grant writing skills for implementation such projects targeting openness, transparency, accountability, and of course public participation, and other types of fundraising and other projects as well. This is very important for having much more effective cooperation in such projects what we are now implementing in the country. And of course, my colleague from Vanadzor mentioned that now we have the problem with the so-called transition period of the local government. Vanadzor municipality election was, council election was happened 3 months ago, but the mayor is not elected yet. One of the candidates for the mayor, unfortunately, is still under the investigation and in the jail now. And the council is not concluded, which is a real obstacle for implementing such projects. That's in short. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The issues that you raised, which is very important, capacity, building capacity in local governments. I think there will be some answers in the next session where Mr. Marin will present the new round of OGPs. Mr. Jukadze, the mayor of Koni in Georgia, please unmute.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank you for inviting me, and I would like to greet and welcome every member who has joined us in this platform. I'm sure that every one of us will get very useful and valuable information during this meeting. First of all, I would like to thank the OGP Secretariat and OGP Local for giving us the opportunity to become the members of this very important platform. My municipality is the Khoni municipality, and we joined the OGP Local in 2021. With the consultation of the UNDP team, we got familiar with the main values of OGP, and then during 9 months we had a plan, and we planned three key objectives, and these were the objectives to be implemented by the end of 2021. I would like to briefly inform you about these three objectives. One, it was improved access to municipal services, especially for the marginalized groups. Second objective was under this plan to involve the people with disability and their council in the urban development policy through institutionalization. And that was very important for us and for the people with disabilities, because we wanted to create the urban environment that would be accessible for the people with disabilities. Number three, that was to organize the regional forum of OGP in Honi municipality to share the values, knowledge and experience related to open governance. Let me say that Honi municipality is located in Imereti region, and Kutaisi city is also the member, and there are 10 other municipalities invited, and together with the representatives of OGP Secretariat and OGP Local, we shared our experience among other counterparts. The experience of 2021 gave us practical experience regarding how we can achieve our goals on this OGP way. And now we were able to see the things differently from this perspective of OGP, and therefore in 2022 we have already started working on the plan, on the main objectives, and because we are working on our goals that we want to achieve in 2022, and that prior experience will be very helpful. And even today we're getting more and more experience because we learn about best practices, and I am sure that that will enable us to achieve the OGP goals and implement the OGP values. And I try to be very brief to express our attitude, to communicate our experience, and let me wish you success. And if you have any questions, then I'll be more than happy to respond to your inquiries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think you make a couple of very good observations about this link between this transparency and open government principles and the human rights when you mentioned the problem, the issue of disabled people and how you can help people in your own community. So this is a very practical example of how these things are coming together. Let me remind everyone that we still have probably a couple of minutes. If people want to intervene, I think somebody wrote to me, but I lost it in the maze of emails from Georgia, that there are municipalities which are not members of the of this initiative, and they would like to raise a couple of problems. You need to send me a request in order, whoever wants to speak. I have another speaker now, Mrs. Marina Mitarian from Georgia as well. I'm admitting her. So we have her intervention too. Hopefully it works. Yes, it works. And then we will move to the final section of our meeting today, which is to present the expansion of the OGP local program with Mr. Marin. But first, let's have Mr. Marina Hitarian from Armenia.
Thank you so much. Thank you
You.
so much, colleagues. Yeah, I'm currently based in Armenia, working for the Eastern Partnership Program of the OGP. I wanted to intervene very shortly, just because I have very important takeaways from this event, from myself and from the programming of OGP. I wanted to share those. The general thing is that we're witnessing a momentum when municipalities are becoming the backdoor of democracy. Especially in this region, the geopolitics has been dominating so much in the logic of prioritization, making choices and making decisions, that we see municipalities are becoming the positive deviant in that whole conversations and keeping still the democracy and the democratic reforms on the agenda. But a few very practical takeaways I'd like to share. First is it's quite interesting that all of the colleagues have been mentioning the importance of resources in doing their work, OGP-related work in the communities. We have heard about USA GGI in Georgia, Council of Europe in Armenia, UNDP, and other partners in Ukraine. So worth mentioning and just pinning this, that resources are critical, but also the fundraising skills that Levons has mentioned. Just worth spinning that resources are critical for moving very often things around. The second thing is it's remarkable how the innovative tools have been used in the local communities. I mean, we have seen that very often these innovations could not be applied on the national context because it's heavy, it's difficult, it's a systemic thing which requires much more careful and conservative transformations very often. So in the wider OGP context and probably the open state context, we're seeing that local jurisdictions are becoming labs for piloting and scaling some of the cutting-edge innovations. If you look at Decide Madrid, for instance, it has become an inspiration for many countries, not just municipalities. But also some processes, not only the actual products, but also processes, like how do you partner with the civil society organizations? How do you create platforms around OGP agenda? Those has been really the innovations that we have seen on the local level and would be great to upscale on the national level too. And I'm happy that the points of contacts are here and they're following and actively engaged in the conversations. One thing I wanted to mention, 2022, the year is a momentum for making a stronger link between the local and the national, because we will have all 4 countries in the Eastern Partnership region co-creating. So there will be national action plans, and whatever is relevant to borrow from the local would be great to do it now. If the nudging is possible, if the partnership anyway or facilitation of this partnership could help, would be great to do it, but also to share those practices across the network, not only vertically inside the countries. And just to offer you, we as OGP, Eastern Partnership Program, we will have a series of thematic community of practice events in the pipeline. Those are around justice, anti-corruption, public services. So it would be great if we have local partners in those community of practice event. And I've shared the subscription for the newsletter in the chat of this event. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions and if you want to engage more in this program. But thanks so much for this opportunity. It's great takeaways from the meeting.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Mitarian. I cannot think of a better conclusion to this section, actually, than what you said, and you highlighted the importance of local government and local government action, especially in these, troubled times that we see. And indeed, at the local level, there's a flame of democracy that we need to perpetuate. And also I think we had, especially in the second part of our meeting today, a whole list of good examples of practice which highlight precisely this, how transparency and open government feed into the agenda of human rights and protecting minorities and improving actually the quality of life of citizens in all our countries that we discuss about today. And I think this is the right time. I don't see any other request to be introduced. It is the right time to give the floor to Mr. Jose Maria Marin, who is a senior program officer at OGP Local, to present something very important for everybody. So please pay attention, because it is about the extension of the OGP Local program. So there will be a new round, and you are all invited to take part, I suppose, right? Please, Jose Maria.
Great, thank you so much. I really appreciate this time and your attention, of course. For us, it's a real honor to be partnering in this session and being able to share about some of the tools or some of the approaches that we are using to, let me share my screen very quickly with you, if it's possible. Can you see my screen?
I still see you. I still see you in the in the window, but I don't see your. Yeah, do you have a PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, it should work. I don't know how the platform actually works, but you see the share screen button, and probably from there. Oh yeah, now it yes, it works. Now we see it.
You
Please
see
go
the
on.
call for members presentation.
Absolutely, please go on.
Excellent, great. So as we were just hearing, and it was so nicely summarized, both by Sorin and Marina, and reflecting on the great participations we've just heard. It is, in fact, the opportunity that we have now, 2022, and moving forward, and to continue to build on all the great work and this opportunity to continue to deepen democratic practices through open government approaches. As a means to, of course, ensure the proper fulfillment of human rights at every level of government and in every region. And of course, in EAP is one that we are keen on seeing and supporting. So as it was just mentioned, we are having a call for new members. So the OGP local trajectory, you can see here, starting 2015, and in the past couple of years, we've really, let's say, opened the floodgates to be able to make sure that we can reach all the corners where we see innovative local jurisdictions, engaged with their citizens and civil society, with their local residents, to be able to make sure that government delivers better services to their members. And you can see here that throughout the years we've been expanding quite quickly with a call 2 years ago, and you saw many of the local members that have joined. We started with Tbilisi a couple 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, and now we're up to 9 jurisdictions, including Banat and Gyumri as a joint. And here it's been very exciting because we've seen a number of exciting commitments. You've heard many of them in the presentation, so I'm not going to go into them, but it's very exciting to see how inclusion of specific groups and communities that may be marginalized is a trend that we're seeing. Of course, citizen participation in many aspects, including that fiscal openness and making sure that corruption is not a hindrance to the work that is being done. Now, these members that you just saw and the members that will be joining us in this next cohort will be able to access a global network with more than 150 governments, both at national and local level, more than 3,000 civil society organizations with a whole range of expertise and interests to be able to support that co-creation, but also the implementation process of ambitious action plans. We're developing mentorship programs to support the OGP processes, as well as we're keen on ensuring that there's peers exchanges just like this, but throughout the years and in different thematic issues and in different formats. Of course, accessing to knowledge, products, and research as well as an important aspect. Not only the human and the resources that were just mentioned to be able to finance all these interesting initiatives, but also that access to knowledge products is key, with examples, with good practices, and I know that we're going to hear a little bit more about that in the next presentation with the platform of Be Open. Of course, one of the things that we're keen on is making sure that we shine a spotlight where we see those interesting, inspiring, excellent reforms within the regions. And as was mentioned also by Rudy at the very beginning, the Deputy Director of OGP Local, the participation in OGP Local is not just for the participation sake of this platform, but it is a way to ensure that local government and civil society, the persons that compose these these groups, improve on their skills and our skills that are transferable to making sure that there's better ways in which we can deliver the government services and make sure that there's a fulfillment of individuals' rights. Now, getting into the 2022 call for new members, Just a couple of observations. One, the most important, let's say, eligibility criteria is just to make sure that your jurisdiction is within a country that's part of the OGP, which not should be a problem with most of the countries I think are here in this roundtable. Now, it is very important for us to see that political commitment of the leaders and, of course, the non-governmental counterparts or civil society organizations, and we've seen here firsthand some of that political commitment, both from the mayors and deputy mayors that come and speak about their experiences, but also that civil society counterpart who is also a key element. We would very much like to see at least 18 months left in the terms of the current administration so that we make sure that there is enough time for the onboarding, but also for the co-creation of an action plan. So to get those wheels moving before we might have some changes in government. But that is part of one of our wish lists, and there could be a bit of flexibility around there as well. So don't be that discouraged. We would very much also like to see that there's a track record in open government and co-creation with civil society or non-governmental stakeholders, just to make sure that there's a basic understanding about what it takes to be able to work together with non-governmental stakeholders, which is at the heart of the OGP local process. Of course, ambition of future and direction of open government is extremely important, because we don't need to see now at the application stage, we don't need to know what are your specific commitments. Those were going to be co-created in the future. But what is important is to make sure that you have an idea and you have the ambition of being able to improve through adoption of open government reforms. Last but not least, and also very important, to make sure that there are the capacity and resources for the co-creation and implementation process from both the government and non-governmental counterparts. A lot of it is the time and effort of the individuals that sit together to work and identify what are the priorities, what are the problems, what are the solutions through open government that can be resolved. But in some cases that process itself needs some resources, and of course, as you can imagine, the implementation of those commitments definitely need resources. Now, the resources needed are resources for the process itself at the local level from the jurisdictions. For OGP, there are no fees whatsoever from locals to become members. We don't receive or request any sort of fees for the membership. Now, in terms of the application process, the deadline is about a month away, so we have still 4 more weeks to be able to submit the form. The application form can be submitted as a single jurisdiction or a joint application. So single jurisdiction applications is just like many examples that we saw here, Osurgeti, Chemninsky, and the like, but also you can apply through a consortium like you saw in Banatsor and Gyumri, where they jointly are, let's say, co-creating and implementing that action plan. Now, there's some benefits to those in the sense that a joint process can help with economies of scale, support one another. You can have one co-creation process that is comprehensive for both instead of having 2. So you have to really think about whether or not that's a model that you would like to see. For the application process, we've simplified it from last time, and it's quite straightforward. There's an online form, which I will send. You can see the link in a little bit. I'll also put it in the chat, where you can fill out, in essence, what's the expression of interest, and tell us a little bit more about the track record, that ambition and capacity that I had mentioned in the previous slide. Of course, to be able to capture that commitment from both the government and civil society, we request letters of support, which you can also upload through that online form. And we're asking for a letter of support from the head of government or from a senior political figure with a delegated authority for the jurisdiction to say, in essence, yes, we are committed, we want to take part of this partnership, and at least one non-governmental stakeholder. It can be more than one non-governmental stakeholder that obviously always is a plus, but at least one. And as you might know, we try always to ensure that there is a cohort diversity. That means that we want to make sure that we have all sorts of jurisdictions from different countries and regions, because we are convinced that that diversity in terms of interest and experience and sizes and regions is what makes the partnership and that community that we're building that much richer in terms of knowledge sharing and support. Now, a very important point here is that we have the OGP Local Handbook, which spells out all the rules for joining as well as participating in OGP Local. We have it in English, but also we have a translation in Russian, and highly recommend that you browse through it so you have a very good idea about what it means to be part of OGP and the type of activities that you would be doing as a member. I'll finish quickly with a couple more slides. One is just so you can look at that timeline for 2022. Submissions are open until the mid of March. We'll have until mid-May to have a selection. And from then on, in mid-May, we'll make the announcement of the new cohort members. And from then we'll jump into an online onboarding process to make sure that we start building those capacities to be able to co-create the action plan in the latter half of the year, going into implementation on 2023. This is what we're planning for now, but just rest assured that from the onboarding process on, there are flexibility in terms of how long you can spend during your co-creation process. You can start in August or you can start in July. But this is to give you an idea of implications of timeline. And with that, I would like to close and say thank you very much for this space. We very much look forward for applications from many of you, hopefully. Do visit our webpage at opengovpartnership.org/local. You can find the detailed information about applying at bit.ly/OGP Local Call 2020. And if you are perhaps not considering applying, or even if you want to apply, do think about joining our Slack channel, which is it's not reserved only for members. It's for anybody in the community that wants to know more and engage with the community around local open government. And as well, feel free to contact us through email at local@opengovernmentpartnership.org. And with that, thank you very much. And I look forward to answering some of your questions.
Thank you indeed, Jose Maria. I hope you will share your PowerPoint through the organizers with the people, because there's a lot of useful information and details in it. Indeed, there's one more month. I think this is a wonderful opportunity for everybody to become part of this initiative, because you can also learn, but you can benefit a lot by being part of it. And since you mentioned about handbooks and guidelines, this is a very useful introduction for what I'm going to say now in just 2 minutes, that the Council has a very useful complement to this instrument that you presented. And if Oleg can project now on the screen this page, which is Be Open. This is an instrument created by the Council, and you see you can see also the internet address there. So in case you haven't seen it, it's very easy, it's very friendly. What is this Be Open? I mean, the name is clear where it comes from. Be Open, so be open. Become part of this transparency community. It is an instrument. It is a tool which can help you, including to formulate a good application for this proposal that Jose Maria referred to for them, but you can use it in many instances actually. So it is a benchmarking tool. You go there, as you see the site now, it's very user friendly. You find two main things. You find the international standards, but primarily the council standards about transparency and accountability, and you find a lot of practical examples from you can draw inspiration. So from many countries, you can see examples of good practice, which you can, in a way, try to replicate, including in these applications that you are invited to make now. You see there the countries which are covered, so the 4 countries which are part of our meeting today, but you can also see Albania, and if I'm not mistaken, there's Bosnia as well there. Yes, Bosnia and Kosovo. So you can see what they do, and the value of this instrument, this tool, is that it takes this cross-country, the international standards, for example, of the council, but you also have a lot of local context from every country. Is very well explained, and you can find these handbooks, which you can see there on the right hand. They are available in English as well, but also in your local languages. So you just download them from there. You print it or you read it on your laptop, and it's very, very useful, and you can use it immediately for formulating applications, for formulating local strategies. You can find best practices. You can also find on this page useful links to the standards of the council and the Congress of the local and regional authorities. You can find there the priorities. So whenever you interact with your international partners, you have all this information one click away. You go there and you see what are the priorities and everything. What are the modules? These are the 4, I mean, in terms of topics and themes. These are the 4 you are familiar with from your previous interaction with the programs of the Council and the Congress, and these are public ethics and accountability, a very solid body of practice and standards there. You just go check it, and it's there. Transparency, citizen participation, and corruption and corruption risks. So whenever you need it, for applying, for getting into partnerships in your own country or with municipalities from another country, or when you need at the local level to interact with central authorities, when you are invited to formulate opinions or proposals for national strategies, whether it's about the anti-corruption strategies, for better transparentization, for citizen participations. Here in this Be Open instrument, you find everything. I mean, you just go there, select the right chapter, and you find also the standards, but also examples from countries which are similar to yours. And you see again the countries there. Thank you, Oleg. And with this, so memorize the web link and download when you have the chance the handbooks, starting with your own country. Go through it, and you'll see how useful it is. I'm stopping here, and I'm now giving the floor for the final word and for the conclusions to Marite Moras, the head of unit for cooperation and external relations, Congress. Who's been helping, who's been actually managing all these efforts, including the meeting that we have today. Please, Marite.
Oh, here we are. Hello, everybody. I'm really today. I'm really thrilled with this regional event, and I would like to thank all the participants, both from the local and central levels, that joined this conversation. And it is, as Sorin mentioned, for us in the Congress, it is interesting to see how much we have evolved since 2018, when we have been working on giving practical tools, giving support to enlarge the community of local governments that commit to open government principles. I would like also to thank the colleagues in the OGP Secretariat. We have worked jointly for having a strong OGP local program, and I think this is happening. We have been stimulating the joint work of national and local levels, and the interest in open government, the understanding of what open government means is now much higher, and I really look forward to new initiatives, not only to a growing community of OGP locals, but also to all the work that can be done with those who don't enter this community, but who can benefit from their experience, from all the tools that were mentioned by Jose Maria and by Sorin just now. Today, I would say that we have some important takeaways, and I would like to highlight the diversity of approaches and transformations that were presented, and thank all the contributors to our discussion. They all have the same goal of achieving greater impact on local communities with a strong involvement of civil society and citizens. I found them very meaningful, whatever the policies and the tools are used. And I think that open government is an area where we can really go towards innovation and being creative to enhance our democratic system. The dialogue between central and local authorities in respective countries is key. And we have seen that it may be organized in different ways. It also shows that there is a common understanding, both from the national and the local levels, that all together they can enhance the implementation of national commitments, and that local government are part of the overall domestic governance system. It is clear that everyone can greatly benefit from this consultation and contribution from local government on open government policies, of course, on any other policy making. And you know that this is one of the main principles of the European Charter of Local Self-Government. It is also therefore important to involve local authorities in all stages, and we have had examples of involvement from the design phase to the implementation phase, and last but not least, the evaluation that will come in the upcoming years would also need to have them involved. The meeting today, if I may say, is another proof of the will of local authorities to enhance their delivery of services to citizens, to respond to their needs, and to make advantage of tools and experiences that are taking place in other countries, and to be innovative and creative. In the Congress, you know, we very much believe that local and regional governments are often the ones that are more creative and that have this capacity, although there are many issues that some of you mentioned, such as capacity building that is needed and resources that are needed. But still, there is at local level, even in countries where the resources that are entrusted to them are not so big, there are ways to still be creative and to still innovate, to still better respond to citizens. I would like to stress the role of national associations also, and this was mentioned by several of them in the region. I think they are key in this dialogue process that we discussed today. They're also key in helping the exchange of experience, the peer exchanges at domestic level, and in also promoting and advocating for the interest of local government when it comes to policies that are linked to open government, in particular in this case. So I'm impressed with the great number of participants, the great expression of interest that we hear today. This afternoon we will have a meeting, a workshop in Ukraine, and there's more than 130 expressions of interest in the expansion of the OGP local program. I hope that the OGP Secretariat will not be overwhelmed with candidatures from Ukraine, but still this shows that there's something to be done besides the local program to enhance and support processes in each of the countries. We know that open government do not exist in isolation, and Congress Director Katie from Georgia, Lilia from Armenia mentioned the right of citizens to participate and how OGP principles flow directly from human rights and democratic roots. We know very well that many efforts have to be made in terms of more participation of vulnerable groups, more inclusion, stronger link with civil society. And I look forward for new adventures that are going to start from now on and that are being built in each of the 4 countries that are around the table today, if I may so. And I would like again to reiterate the support of the Congress. As you know, we can support in many ways. We have our recommendations, but we have also our tools and our bilateral projects where we intend, as you see so today, to showcase in a regional manner. And we are also working in other regions in Europe, like the southeast of Europe, with other interesting initiatives such as deliberative democracy. So the Congress is with you. The Congress is there to support, to enhance the democratic processes jointly with you. And once more, I would like to thank all speakers in this roundtable, but also all the ones who attended and who can reach out to us, reach out to our teams. We have teams in each of the countries. And finally, I'd like to thank the teams who prepared this event, this online regional event, and thank the interpreters for making us understand each other throughout across the borders. So thank you again, everyone. And I would like, by these words, to close this roundtable. Thank you. Goodbye. Have a nice day. Bye.